and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She's a soulful and sober, and we're gonna talk about her upcoming book, no other than Miss Chrissy Janiga.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Welcome to Book 101, Miss Chrissy. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
My name again is Chrissy Janiga. I am the author of Soul Led Sobriety that comes out August 1st. I have a business, Soulful and Sober, so I help women not just stay sober, but really connect to a deeper reason why they're meant to get sober, help with healing their purpose. And I'm just really excited to share this with the world.
And Miss Crazy Janiga, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom today. Hoping for more and more empowering books like this to come. What inspired you to write this book and share this message to the world?
It's very much part of my story and how I ended up not just staying sober, but following more of a soul led path. So part of this book is, a memoir, but the other part's a guidebook. So it helps people understand things on a deeper level. So I got sober in 2022 and I bought this intuition notebook and I started writing like different downloads and things that I got. And actually, in 2023, I saw myself going on stage in a meditation and signing books. And so I really feel like we're led to go on this path. Obviously, those that decide to stay sober or go alcohol free or become sober curious, we obviously feel alcohol is not serving us, but I like to take it a little bit deeper into why it's hard to break up with alcohol, but why we're meant to go on this journey. So I really deeply believe that when we stop drinking, we can hear our intuition more, we can follow a soul led path and figure out what we're meant to do in this world and just really find more purpose through our transformation. So this book really is part of how I stayed sober and really just found this really deeper part of me that I always was looking for and couldn't find until I stopped drinking.
Miss Gracie, how did your personal journey influence the core theme of the book?
So I have it broken down into different chapters, which are different pillars. And so part of my sobriety journey was really, it was for me, it was really difficult for social, like the social aspect of things. I wasn't someone that drank by myself. I was really more social. So part of this talks about the glamorization of alcohol and then just all the subconscious beliefs around alcohol in a culture. And I go through different parts of the chapter that really help me with my story. I talk about spirituality. And of course, people can believe in whatever if they feel called to believe in. But it's more for me, it's just more of a journey of getting to know yourself. So this book is really about getting to know yourself on a deeper level. And a lot of people sometimes, including myself, felt stuck. And it wasn't so much that we were stuck, it's I think that we really just were searching for something more inside us. And so this book really does go deeper, talks about healing. So I had a lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of feelings of not feeling worthy. And these are the things that I had to come head forward with once I stopped drinking.
What is the primary audience you had in the mind while writing this book?
So this book was really just I thought about the title actually before I wrote it, and I really just wanted people that were sober or questioning their relationship with alcohol or anywhere in between. I mean, anybody really can read it, but I wanted them to just really want to find themselves. And I work with people that are already sober and people that are wanting to stay sober. And so really it was just for me just to really kind of give back, and it was so therapeutic to write it as well. I was going through a really difficult time in my life, and this book was really something that like just always anchored my why. I'm like, why am I doing this? And I really feel like there needs to be more people like me and other people in the sober space that really just elevate and show people a different way to live, a more aligned, happy way. And it doesn't involve alcohol.
Interesting indeed. And we salute you for doing the right thing, Miss Chrissy. We salute you. How does your book guide readers toward more spiritual and joy filled life after quitting alcohol?
So I talk about the alcohol blocks and what it avoids us to do in our life. So to me, again, spirituality can be something higher than ourselves, whether it's God, a higher self, but it's to me, it's really also about looking in like inside you. And so a lot of people I work with feel like something's off and sometimes need to really work on their people pleasing or other like sorts of trauma. So really for me it's just digging deep and finding out who you're meant to become once you stop drinking. And to me that's a very spiritual experience because I don't believe any higher power wants us to be buzzed and drunk all the time. And so I talk a lot about intuition. So intuition really is like those gut feelings, maybe people call them, that gut feeling, or I just feel like something's wrong or, something's going on. A lot of people think about not drinking before they stop drinking. And I believe it's like the intuitive nudge that, hey, you need to do this. And once you follow that journey, you get like breadcrumbs for other parts of your life that are coming towards you. Because I really believe that when we follow our soul's desires, that we can find more of that stuff and more of that stuff and more of that stuff. And it leads us on a very spiritual, like more of a soul led path. And through all this, through our transformation, I do believe you can find purpose and find more deeper meaning into why you went on this journey in the first place. And then lastly, I believe that we all have life lessons in this world. There's lots of spiritual teachings that say, like, it's maybe instead of looking at something like, what's wrong with me? Why am I so bad? That maybe it's looking at, well, maybe I have this life lesson for a reason and I have to work through this to understand why.
Miss Chrissy, can you share a favorite story or anecdote from the book that captures its essence?
Actually, yes, I can. In 2022 of January, I stopped drinking and then I drank again in about 6 months later. But then come November of 2022, I officially stopped drinking. And I just knew this time was like the time where I was done with drinking. I was taking a walk and I felt really like good and I felt really excited about my decision. And I heard myself say, it was my own voice. It was really crazy. And it's in the book that doors will open if you stop drinking alcohol. And it was kind of my first real understanding of intuition. And I didn't know that you could hear, some of the things you think about are actually your intuition, but it came so loud and it was my own voice. And I still remember it to this day. So it kind of really helps me as far as anchoring, like, why am I on this journey? Because I want to see what's going to happen next. And really everything that happened after I stopped drinking, no, it wasn't all like roses and all of it was happy, but it was all the things I was meant to do. And I really believe that I was meant to go on this journey to help other people.
And again, Miss Chrissy, we salute you for doing that. How does your book address the emotional or societal pressures women face when giving up alcohol?
That's a great question, actually. So there is a whole theme around mommy wine culture. So mommy wine culture is like there's shirts, there's different drinks that say like moms need to drink. This is our relaxing time. This is where we get to unwind. And so really what we're saying is that we can't handle our kids, let's drink. And I think as role models, we really need to look at our relationship with alcohol. However, societal expectations tell us that we can do it, tell us this is the way we can stop. with stress, and we deserve it. And so more and more women after the pandemic have been, having more alcohol addiction issues, have been dying more from alcohol. And so really promoting mommy wine culture and other things around women drinking is not only toxic, but it's also not good for our children. And it also doesn't teach women how to actually cope with the underlying issues of stress that are really real. And so I think that getting a better understanding of these messages is extremely crucial because I don't want to blame the consumer. I drank and I did mommy wine culture too. However, it like I did say like I deserve this, and at the end of the day, I deserve to have connection and understand myself better and get better coping strategies because our kids do see what we do, and if we teach them this is how we cope, sometimes history does repeat itself.
True. History repeat itself. And are there specific practices or exercise in the book that help readers connect with their purpose?
Yes, I go through different chapters on that as well, and like I mentioned before, your transformation through your sober journey will help guide you on your purpose. Now, we also have more than one purpose. Like mine is my son, so you can have more than one purpose. But I talk about what's called the DILTS model. Robert Dilts made this model of how people change, and he said when people only try to change the behavior or the environment, oftentimes they're either miserable in their sober journey or they go back to drinking. So it's normally important to kind of go higher up the model and go to purpose. So purpose is something if we look at what really brings us meaning. So if you don't like the word purpose, you can go meaning or what really like lights me up. If I could, what could I do all day long, right? And if you go there, you change your identity, you change your values, and you also change your environment and your behavior and even who you hang out with. So to me, like when you do look for purpose in this journey, it's not just about changing the environment or just not drinking. It's about really digging in deep to what you really want out of this life and to kind of really go that route and also not put so much pressure on yourself to find yourself. It's more like part of the journey is kind of woven into that.
How do you decide to balance practical advice with spiritual insight in the book?
So I give definitely some tips on how to either go to manifestation, how to find more purpose. And I also talk about different things with your nervous system, like meditation and grounding. So I give tangible tips. I also have a freebie that has exercises for meditation, so things that you can do to relax yourself. But also it's I think also about having grace too. And so what I mean by that is, in a journey like this, and even any spiritual journey, it's sometimes being kind to ourselves as well. So I do give a lot of insight into that as well. But also I do put research into my book. So I did put cited studies and things so that you can go back to because sometimes we think some things in spirituality is just a bunch of woohoo, but there are, for example, like our chakra system, like if you ever heard of like the third eye, there is research on chakras and different things. So that way people can kind of see that it's not just me just talking and giving tips, or is some research behind some of this that really, really does help, I think, the readers understand why it's important to kind of explore these avenues.
Miss Gracie, as a soulful and sober and an author too, what are your short term and long term goals?
So I guess my short-term goal is really just to kind of get the message across that why this is so important. My message has never been to tell people what to do. It's to lead people that feel that they want to be led into a more health conscious, more soulful life. And so that is what I really hope this book does. It reaches people and helps them with those goals. And really, it's a domino effect. So my long-term goal would be to get into schools and just bigger education models, because I really feel like if we don't, the alcohol culture will continue to affect people and advertisements, and we will look at alcohol as something that's exciting versus what is it really in reality doing to us. So yeah, that's my long-term goal, is to kind of go more into this and really just kind of dig deeper into this line of work.
Good luck to your goals, Miss Chrissy, and looking forward for more success. What will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be an author and want to be a sober like you too?
So I think if you want to be an author, I think don't like down it and say you can't do it, right? Like I talk to quite a few people. They're like, I would love to write a book, but and they say all the reasons why they can't write a book. And maybe it isn't the right time for them to write a book, but don't put it away because just because you didn't have an English major, or maybe right now it's just not the time, it doesn't mean you can't write a book that could really impact someone's life. Our biggest issue is our fear and then our limiting beliefs that keep us from doing what we really want. And the same goes with being sober. I think if anybody thinks about not drinking, get curious. Just get curious and read and learn, and just then you can kind of decide what you want to do. I don't think a lot of people just decide one day to get sober and do it. It takes maybe a couple times, or maybe they drink and they didn't have a good experience. I just say get really curious and just educate yourself. And that way you can actually make a really good informed decision. A lot of people don't know the negative effects of alcohol. They know it. If you drink a lot in excess, you could hurt your liver, but they don't know it's like a class 1 carcinogen. They don't know how toxic, alcohol is, and they don't realize what it can steal from you. So I think learning is your best bet, and then you can decide to make the best decision for yourself.
Indeed. Learn every day. People learn something every day. And thank you for that advice, Miss Crazy. And can you please recommend a books or book that influence your journey?
So, This Naked Mind by Annie Grace, it's a really good book. She does a really good job of giving you education, giving you knowledge without telling you what to do. And if she's not telling you to stop drinking, she's just, here's this information, you do what you want with it. So I recommend that book to everybody.
Yes, thank you for that recommendation. And how do you incorporate mindfulness or spiritual tools in the book to help readers stay grounded?
So in this, the spirituality, the manifestation, like in every chapter, I actually have a journal that you can download, and it goes, through different prompts and different things that I think are really helpful for people. And again, I talk about intuition, the different types of intuition, so you can get a little bit more in depth in the book, so you can understand it in a little bit different level. I also have breath work meditations that I offer too, that are part of a freebie if you opt into the freebie in the book. So it just kind of gives you those tips and tools, because I talk about grounding, I talk about meditation, I talk about breath work. And so I wanted to give people some tools to actually do that, and just why it's so important as well to have a spiritual practice. Really, I think for everybody to have some type of practice where they can just calm themselves and relax themselves and understand the importance of that kind of practice.
Miss Gracie, were there any surprising discoveries you experienced when you're writing this book?
I think for me it was just how getting sober isn't just about removing a beverage. And so going through this, it's so much more than that. And I think people often think it's just, you just stop drinking. It's easy. And
Mm.
I really don't think it's always easy to stop drinking. I think it's more than just putting down the glass. It's really, you really have to get to know yourself. So, and even when I was writing this, I had like I said, it was a hard time in my life. And so really had to kind of also work on my own nervous system, because I don't want to just write this and not be the product of the product, right? So I had to work on myself through this process as well.
Definitely. Were there any personal stories in the book that were particularly difficult to share?
I think just how much I didn't do because of like my own limiting beliefs. Like when So some of it, yeah, some of it was definitely hard. I think talking about my limiting beliefs, and I didn't realize I was holding myself back so much until I stopped drinking and doing a business and pursuing all these goals. And so, you know, I think that was hard to share. And then also just my own alcohol journey. You put yourself out there, but I also believe that others can really resonate with that as well. So I talked about the last time I drank and just how awful that was and just what I thought about it. So I just hope that the stories help people and they can sometimes maybe see themselves in those stories.
Miss Chrissy, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in its fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. And Miss Chrissy, what is your vision or how this book can inspire a broader movement towards soul-led alcohol-free living?
I think my big goal is to go on stages with this and talk about this book and get it out to as many people as possible. But I just hope it lands in the right hands of people that really need it. So I want the people to find it who need to find it. But I would like for it to be a bigger thing for me as well.
Looking forward for the bigger thing, Miss Chrissy. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom today. And please invite our listeners to support your upcoming book and, of course, your books too, and your business or whatever projects that you're doing right now.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so where people buy your book or books, Miss Chrissy, or
So
this
they will,
upcoming book?
yeah, they'll be on Amazon and it gets released August 1st.
Yes, people. How about your children's books?
They both are on Amazon. It's Miranda Learns the Art of Not Fitting In, and Hudson Learns the Art of Not Giving Up.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Chrissy Janiga because if you support her, for sure, more and more and more empowering books like this to come, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Miss Chrissy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.